We used a linear regression to predict the variable that measured the likeliness of a person to make an effort to buy products made in America based on the variable that measured one's ratings of the overall quality of goods manufactured in China. Basically, the regression asked what proportion of the variability in how often people make an effort to buy products made in America can be explained by their ratings of the overall quality of goods manufactured in China. Seeing as though quality is often considered to be an important factor, we predicted that those people who perceive goods made in China as poor or fair would be more likely to make an effort to purchase goods made in the United States than those people who perceive the goods made in China to be good or excellent. After conducting the linear regression, we found that our significance level was greater than 0.05, so we do not have sufficient evidence to consider that a person's ratings of the overall goods manufactured in China are able to predict the likeliness of a person to make an effort to buy products made in the United States. Then, using the cross-tabulation tool, we looked at the relationship between the amount of importance that people place on price when purchasing products and the willingness of people to pay more for a product that was made in the United States. We tested this on each of the responses for purchasing electronic devices, clothing, and food. For each of these tests, we predicted that those people who claim that price is very important to them when making purchases will be less likely to pay more for a product made in America because they do not have the means to, or because price is a first and only aspect of their purchasing decision. We expected this to be consistent across electronic devices, clothing, and food, but be slightly more or less severe, seeing as though these different products have different price level sensitivities. The results of the cross-tabulations for electronic devices were not necessarily what we were expecting. When comparing the results of those that placed the greatest emphasis on price, meaning that they answered very important when asked how important price was when purchasing an electronic device, to the answer of whether or not the person agreed or disagreed with the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product that was made in America, we found that there was not a strong relationship between the two variables. As seen in the chart, for those who claim that price was very important when purchasing an electronic device, only 8% of that group also answered that they would strongly disagree to the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product if it was made in America. The majority, 40%, claimed that they would neither agree nor disagree with the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product if it was made in America. And the answer with the second greatest percentage, at 32%, was the agreement with the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product if it was made in America. While we were expecting that the people who claimed price was very important would also be willing to pay more money for a product that was made in America, that was not necessarily the case. Next, if we're looking at the same chart, the results for those who claim that price was not at all important when purchasing an electronic device, we could see that in regards to the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product if it was made in America, 0% strongly agreed, 25% agreed, 25% disagreed, 0% strongly disagreed, and 50% answered the neutral option of neither agree nor disagree. This is also quite insignificant, seeing as though the same amount of people who did not care about price, who also agreed that they would be willing to pay more for goods made in America, was the same for those who disagreed that they would be willing to pay more for goods made in America. Next, we look at the cross-tabulation for the importance of price when buying clothing versus the willingness to pay more for a product made in America. For those who claim that price was very important when making a clothing purchase, 0% strongly disagreed with the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product that was made in America. 33% disagreed, 26.7% neither agreed nor disagreed, 33.3% agreed, and 6.7% strongly agreed. As for the group that stated that price was not at all important when purchasing clothing, 0% strongly disagreed, 0% disagreed, 50% neither agreed nor disagreed, 50% agreed, and 0% strongly agreed with the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product if it was made in America. So this cross-tabulation was somewhat similar to the cross-tabulation done for electronic devices, but it more so followed what we were expecting. For the next cross-tabulation, we looked at the relationship between the importance of price when buying food and the willingness to pay more for a product made in America. For those who claim that price was very important, 0% strongly disagree with this statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product that was made in America, while 33.3% claimed that they disagreed, 26.7% neither agreed nor disagreed, 33.3% agreed, and 6.7% strongly agreed. For those who claim that price was not at all important when purchasing food, 0% strongly disagreed, 0% disagreed, 50% neither agreed nor disagreed, 50% agreed, and 0% strongly agreed with the statement, I would be willing to pay more for a product that was made in America.
We attempted to see what sort of correlation, if any, there is between how much research the respondents do on brands and their respective products for electronics and clothing, and how much effort they make to buy American-made products. We used a cross-tabulation procedure to analyze the responses of the people surveyed. The first procedure we ran was for electronic products. We found that electronics are considered a high-involvement purchase for many, and that most people that were surveyed do at least some research. It can be seen in the chart that 21 people responded that they do at least some research. 18 people do a considerable amount of research, and 20 people do extensive research. As we can see, it is a high involvement purchase for many. 42.9% of the people who do at least some research responded that they sometimes make an effort to purchase products made in the United States. 44.4% of the people who do a considerable amount of research and 35% of the people who do extensive research said they sometimes make an effort to purchase products made in the United States. Where people who said that they did minimal or only some research, 0% said that they make an effort to purchase products made in the US, whereas 5.6% of the people who do a considerable amount of research and 5% of the people who do an extensive amount of research said that they often make an effort to purchase things made in the United States. 5% of the people who do an extensive amount of research said that they very often try to make an effort. As for purchasing clothing, it can be seen in the cross-tabulation run that most people surveyed do minimal research. 26 of the 64 people surveyed said that they do minimal research when purchasing clothing, and 21 out of the 64 said they do some research. As for the effort made to buy clothes made in the US, we can see that it is generally considerably lower in this category of purchasing decisions. 23.1% of the people who said that they do minimal research said that they make no effort to buy clothing made in the US. 30.8% said that they rarely make an effort, and 46.2% said that they sometimes make an effort. Between the two cross-tabulations run, we can see that people make more of an effort to buy products made in the US for electronics compared to when buying clothing. We also attempted to see what sort of correlation, if any, there is between the ethnicity of the respondents and how they perceive the quality of products made in the United States and the quality of products made in China. We used a cross-tabulation procedure to see the results. As we can see in the chart, 40 of the people surveyed said that they identified as Caucasian. This is 62.5% of the respondents. 16 of the people surveyed said that they identified as Asian or Pacific Islander. This is 25% of the people surveyed. 30% of the respondents who identified as Caucasian said that the quality of products produced in China are good. 35% said that they are fair, and 30% said that they are poor. 12.5% of the respondents who identified as Asian said that the quality of products produced in China are good. 50% said that they are fair, and 31.3% said that they are poor. The second chart shows a cross-tabulation of the ethnicity of the respondents and how they view the quality of products made in the United States. 20% of the respondents who identified as Caucasian said that the quality of products produced in the U.S. are excellent. 50% said that they are good, and 17.5% said that they are fair. 0% of the respondents who identified as Asian said that the quality of products produced in the U.S. are excellent. 56.3% said that they are good, and 37.5% said that they are fair. The majority of Caucasian American and Asian American respondents rated products manufactured in China as fair or poor. More than half of the Caucasian American and Asian American respondents rated products manufactured in the United States as excellent or good. The data would suggest that both Caucasians and Asians are more likely to favor products manufactured in the United States because they perceive them as being of higher quality than those products manufactured.
Our main objective in designing this questionnaire was to answer the question, do 18 to 24-year-old consumers in the United States care where products are manufactured? In particular, whether something is manufactured in the United States versus China. We asked, how often do you make an effort to buy products made in America? You can see here 2% said they make an effort very often to buy products that are made in America. 3% said they often make an effort to buy products made in America. 44% said they sometimes make an effort to buy products made in America. 30% said they rarely make an effort. And 22% said they never make an effort to buy products that are made in America. So we can see that most people who answered our survey are somewhere in the middle. They said they sometimes make an effort, but it seems that they lean a little bit more towards never or rarely making an effort than they do often or very often making an effort. These findings seem to suggest that 18 to 24-year-olds do not care where products are manufactured. Once we had our answer to the question, do 18 to 24-year-old consumers in the United States care where products are manufactured, we needed to determine why they did or did not care. Could education play a role in whether or not they cared? We thought that it could. We assumed that 18 to 24-year-old consumers who had a higher level of education would care more about where products are manufactured. The reasoning behind this thought was that we were assuming that people who had a higher education would be more knowledgeable on the issues surrounding manufacturing products overseas, such as child labor. To test this assumption, we used a linear regression analysis. As you can see in the output of our linear regression, we have a level of significance of 0.837. This is greater than our level of confidence of 0.05. Therefore, it would not be permissible to use the associated independent variable of education to predict the dependent variable, which is how people answer the question, how often do you check to see if a brand you are using uses child labor? We can also look at R-squared, which represents the percentage variance between the independent variable and the dependent variable. You can see that ours is very, very low at 0.001. Again, reinforcing that there is no relationship between these two variables. So we do not have sufficient evidence to consider that a person's education will predict how someone will respond to the question, how often do you check to see if a brand you are using uses child labor? In fact, we found that only one person in our questionnaire said that they check very often to see if a brand they are using uses child labor. 0 people check very often. 5% check sometimes. 20% rarely check to see if a brand they are using uses child labor. And 73%, the majority, never check at all.